Namaskaram, sir. All masters. Good evening, all masters. Good evening, sir. Uh, my pranams to Ascended Master Mahavatar Babaji. My pranams to Great Grandmaster Brahmarishi Bhatriji, sir. My pranams to Great Grandmaster Dr. Ranganathan, sir. My pranams to all masters and friends. My pranams to the universe. Today I will speak of the meditation background and the process. Sir, I will proceed, sir. Audible, sir. Sir. Meditation, yes, sir. Thanks, sir. Meditation is of many kinds. The goal that we set for ourselves, the purpose for which we meditate, determines the type of meditation we have to follow. If we seek salvation, withdrawal from life, then we detach ourselves from the world and meditate upon the silent, immutable self and immutable self and shift our consciousness inwards. If we seek to realize God as love, there is another type of meditation. So we have to first decide what we want to achieve by meditation. Meditation can be a means for relaxation. There are techniques for that. If meditation is pursued to bring about a change in our nature, if we want to explore the depths or the heights of our consciousness, as in our integral yoga, we need to practice a type of meditation by which we can gather ourselves and focus our energies on our central objective. But whatever the kind of meditation, a background has to be prepared. Without it, meditation can never succeed. It is not something that we can start any day, anytime, at any time, something totally out of keeping with the daily pattern of our life. And this indispensable preparation of the meditation is to be found sketched out in the aphorisms on yoga by Patanjali. This master of yoga did not invent yoga. He only systemized the floating traditions of the different lines of one yoga. He insists that we must prepare ourselves physically, mentally, morally, and psychologically. Patanjali cites 5 inhibitions, prohibitions, and 5 injunctions, 5 negatives and 5 positives that each one of us has to practice and establish in our personal lives before launching on any such project as meditation or concentration or yoga. The first is non-injury. Non-injury is not merely desisting from physical violence, it is elimination of violence from the mind, the heart, not to think ill of anybody. People may be rude, people may do us harm, but we are not returned in the same coin. Even if you do not descend to their level physically, but mentally entertain a hostility, it promotes violence in the subtle atmosphere and does harm. It poisons the blood, it lowers the consciousness, it is stated, and it is a truth that has been verified even in the modern times. That is the presence of one who has realized the state of non-violence in himself. Animals which are traditional enemies forget their enmity. A serpent and a mongoose will lie quiet in his presence. That is beautifully described in many of the legends in our tradition. The second is the truth. We must set up a standard of truth to follow in our daily life. There are occasions when we may have to tell only a part of the truth. That there are occasions when silence may be more advisable than saying anything, but to mislead a person is wrong. To hold to truth not only in our dealings with others but even in our thoughts is important. And it is a fact that he who always speaks the truth finds after some time that when whatever he speaks comes true. One who is accustomed to utter only truth becomes a channel for the truth to express itself. This is called Vak Siddhi, fulfillment of speech. The divine is truth, and if we seek to serve or realize the divine truth, the truth must be our sheet anchor. The third is non-stealing. That is not stealing what belongs to others. It is not a physical thieving that is meant, even a mental appropriation of what belongs to other, a mental seeking for what is not ours must be eschewed. The fourth is conservation of sex energy. This subject has its own science. For purposes of meditation, we may see Say it means a moderation in the sex, not an indiscriminate throwing of sex energies, which brings down the consciousness. For purpose of meditation, strict continence may not be necessary, but for serious yoga, where we seek to realize God, a divine consciousness, where we aim at divinizing our nature, it is indispensable after a certain stage is reached. The rationale behind is this: in the human body, whether male or female, the first form that the life energy takes is sex energy, the sex fluids. Nature utilizes it for its own purpose of perpetuating the species. Now, if the fluids are not thrown out, they are gathered, and this very gathering inside creates a heat, and due to this heat, there is a greater energy of effectuation. Whatever we do, there is a certain dynamics. The energy in the body gets enhanced, more vibrational dynamic. If we still conserve that heat, tapas turns into light, prakasha, and that illumines the mind, promotes fresh capacities in the mind. If we persist in the practice, both the heat and the light turn into electricity, vidyut, so that the mind becomes both dynamic and illumined. If we continue further, the electricity turns into what is called ojas, primal power of ether, from which creation starts. It is so powerful that one can create things with it if one knows the science. And that further develops into spiritual power, virya, which helps one to achieve union with the divine. This is the rational began brahmacharya. On the positive side, there are five. First is the cleanliness. Here again, cleanliness is not just washing our bodies with soap and water. It is a cleansing of the mind, of the emotion. It is an inner purification. We must keep the temple clean if we wish to install there the living presence. The mind has to be kept clean, clean of all ignoble thoughts, wrong movements, impure inclinations. So too the emotions of the heart, they have to be kept pure. Next, second is the contentment. We have to cultivate the art of being content with what God has given us. It is not wrong to aspire for more, but there should not be any fevered seeking tension. We learn to be satisfied with what we are given. This is an inner contentment. No amount of riches, material resources can give this contentment. It is an attitude of the being which must be cultivated. The third is the tapas, ask is concentration of energies in on our objective. It does not mean infliction of hardships or ourselves, but disciplining our movements in a direction that is conducive to the fulfillment of our aim. This is a discipline that calls for sustained effort, but once it gets established, it gives joy. Then the fourth is a study, swadhyaya, of holy literature. We cannot purify ourselves by our own unaided efforts. So satsang, elevation through holy company, it is like a fire that is burning in which we can throw a few logs effortlessly. They get warm and dry and are ready to catch a flame. So we seek the company of the great, the holy. The last is the surrender to the God. It is a recognition that our puny human power is inadequate to deal with the situation. We cannot by ourselves exceed our human dimensions and assume the divine nature. We therefore submit ourselves, surrender ourselves to the grace of the God. We dwell upon God in utter adoration. These are the principles which we must first wave in our personal life. It is only as we exert ourselves in this direction that we begin to succeed. When we thus reform the texture of our lives on this line, the necessary background is created. When we have thus reached an elevated level of life, we can seriously think of meditation. It is important that we keep regular timings for this purpose. As far as possible, a fixed hour of meditation must be observed. So too, a fixed place. It will be observed that if we respect our timings for meditation, a helpful presence is induced to come into the atmosphere at that hour. This is an occult truth that must not be missed. Next, we have to begin with the right posture. For us, the simple posture of Padmasana is recommended. The object of an asana is to be enable us to sit without moving for a length of time. Normally, when we sit after a few minutes, some limb of the body begins to move. The fingers move. There is some discomfort in the joints. Attention is constantly drawn to the shifting requirements of the body. The purpose of asana is to ensure that the body remains stable, immobile for a period of time. Each person has to find his own asana. The right asana enables us to forget the body. It ensures free flow of the subtle energies in the system. The next step is to attend to our breathing. There is an intimate connection between our thought movement and the life force that moves in us. When we are mentally agitated, we are breathing. Our breathing becomes irregular. When we breathe irregularly, the mind is not at rest. It is possible by regulating our breathing processes to restore a certain calm and control of mind. Normally, we breathe erratically. It may be through one nostril for some time, then the other for a while. Healthy breathing means that both the nostrils function equally. The in breathing and out breathing had to be balanced. This principle is the elongation of the breath. We learn to breathe deep as slowly as possible, taking a deep breath, let it out as slowly as we can and observe the operation. This simple technique of taking 4 or 5 deep breaths and letting them at the same slow pace restores calm in the mind and controls the thought movement. When this equalization of breathing is accomplished, it is suggested that we hold the breath for a while. That increases the nervous strength, enables us to withstand pressures and promote resilience. This brings us to the completion of the essential preliminaries before we are ready for the succeeding moments of the meditation process. Next, we will go for the meditation process. With the right external conditions ready, we now enter the deeper phases of meditation. The fixed posture is taken, the breathing is regularized. The next step is pratyahara, bringing together. Normally, our mental faculties are spread out in thousands of directions. Now, all these faculties have to be slowly withdrawn from outer occupation and focused in as narrow a compass as possible. We may choose a form of God that we like to worship, maybe a form of Krishna, a form of Jesus, a form of one who represents God to us, or a form of flame, or it may be a sound like Om or any mantra which we repeat. The whole mind is centered on that, or it may be an idea, a thought of God as peace, God as love, God as beauty, or an impersonal presence. Whatever we choose, the mind should be concentrated upon it. Concentration is when we fix our mind on a particular object without allowing it to move this way or that. In the very nature of things, concentration of this type cannot be done for long. It is a strenuous process. So we fix the attention for a while and thereafter we let the ideas work on what we are meditating upon. Now this flow of consciousness, flow of thought on one theme, a continuous developing of it is called meditation. So meditation and concentration are two different processes. Concentration is when we fix our mind, our consciousness or an object or nothing else. Meditation allows a relaxation, allowing the mind to dwell upon the theme, idea after idea, step by step, and this dwelling of consciousness is compared to the flow of oil in a wick, little by little, but always confined to the subject. One of the most common obsessions that we meet with when we start meditation is the invasion of thoughts. The moment we sit for meditation, so many thoughts rush in. We feel that we do not have them normally, but we invade when we want to meditate. But it is not so. Thoughts are always there, moving in the universal atmosphere around us, but we are busy with so many things that we do not notice them. When we sit quiet for a while, we begin to take notice of them and tend to get disturbed. There are two or three ways in which difficulty is met. One is contemplation. We allow the thoughts to come before the mind and we observe them but do not participate in them. We come to observe many things in our nature which we need to correct. Once we allow the thoughts to run on, they begin to slacken at some point as we do not join them. We only observe. We find out many unlit corners in our being which are revealed during this operation. Gradually, the movement comes to a stop. All is still, but it's taken time. So, so this is the art of meditation, not to want to achieve by ourselves, but to build up a state in which we hold ourselves receptive and let the higher power, the higher consciousness take possession of us, whether it is God as power, God as bliss, or God as silence. We have to conceive of God, the divine, as that, and let us ourselves be occupied by corresponding thoughts. So now we have learned about meditation. We have spoken of concentration. We have learned the concentration. Now there is a question of Kundalini, which is a fascinating subject to those who want to achieve quick result. Kundalini is the name for latent power in the human system lying in the region of base of the spine. There are in our body a series of centers locations which are like buttons to activate certain energies. We have a physical energy, and there is a spot in the body which, when concentrated upon, opens up the activity of that energy in a striking manner. There is also a place where, if we concentrate, our desires, passions, impulses are awakened. There is still another place higher up where we can feel the center of uncaused delight, spiritual joy, the innate delight of life. There is a center where, if we concentrate, we get power over our speech, a mastery over it. There is a spot where we can see beyond physical sight, that is the third eye, the subtle light. There is still another place where we meet what is beyond the mind. Now we have learned the background of meditation. There is also a foreground. Before we come to that, let us note the meditations should be kept living and dynamic. If they are prolonged beyond reasonable limits, they are prone to get stagnant and inert. Especially in the beginning, half an hour should be enough. We should be alert enough to watch what takes place, and when needed, direct the movement in the desired direction. It is more advisable to have brief periods of meditation more times a day than one long session. Once the meditation is over, everything tends to return to its set pattern. But we must prevent that movement. We must continue the attitude, the spirit of meditation in our day to day life. We prolong that pause as much as possible. We cannot separate periods of meditation from those of non meditation. The spirit of meditation has to continue in the midst of work. Thus, when we are in meditation, we have a poise of purity, of dedication, of receptivity. Well, that attitude has to continue even afterwards. We may not sit in one place, but the background of meditative poise continues. Then, gradually, we will be able to carry on our normal activity with this background of meditative detachment and peace. Whatever we do turns into a sacrament. It is meditation in movement. Meditation has to become natural. A stage comes when whatever we do, whatever be the activity, there is always something which is separate from the movement and turn to a greater peace, a strong equanimity. Meditation fulfills its role of being a means to attain a higher or deeper consciousness permanently. So next, I will speak about some points on the divine laws we have to adhere. First, demand nothing from beings. Next, number two, accept nature's offer without denial. Number three, rules, laws, acts, enactments, correlations. These are changeable or withdrawable. These are man made. Divine laws cannot be changed. Each and every being should adhere to divine laws. Number four, ego is necessary to some extent, but it should not be a master or leader. Number five, Jivakarunyam is the highest degree of mercy, which is basic qualification of sadaka. Number six, no one is created for the sake of man. Each creature, one is created in its own. Number seven, man is not rival to the lower form of beings. Number eight, the earth, water, fire, air, sky, these five super elements are very powerful, which are under the control of the nature. But on any account, they do not try to conquer. Each and every element is useful to us. Number nine, silence is better than speech. Number 10, we have to observe ourselves both inwardly and outwardly. Number 11, what is what? Nothing is what. Number 12, fear is enemy of life. Fear is enemy of life. Therefore, we should not fear. Number 13, take Sattva food throughout our life. Food is a payment of Jivan. Vegetarian food are totally fit for Sadaka. Number 14, do Punya, do Dharma, always be with justice. Do the good deed today because we may not have the chance to cease tomorrow. Number 15, very strict advice. We should not curse anybody. We should not torture anybody. We shouldn't give corporal punishments to any beings. Sir, I conclude with this, sir, on meditation and the divine laws to adhere. And I thank Mahavatar Foundation for giving me this opportunity. I thank Master Thiru Lokesh sir for giving me this opportunity. I thank all masters for passion sharing. Thanks, sir.